Hey everyone. Hope you're having a manageable start to your week. My name is Wyatt, if I've never met you before, and I thought I would share with you an opportunity to kind of open up your shoulders and your heart chakra today. Um, just so you know, in the distance you might see a dog. There's a dog under this little couch right here. It's my old man dog. Um, I know it's Monday. Well, at least for when I'm filming this is Monday. You might see it on a different day. Um, and I just wanted to share something kind of funny with you before we get started. This is the second time I've recorded this. I recorded this morning, and when I found out that it didn't actually record, or actually it recorded but it didn't actually work and it wouldn't upload, I found myself actually being like super calm about it because we live in a funny world right now. So that's one of the positives about living in a world that brings a lot of challenges, is that, you know, when challenges come, you kind of accept them. There's the dog. And yeah, so I just wanted to share that with you. I wanted you all to know that we will all face challenges, and that I'm really proud of all of you for being able to overcome your version of this challenge, because it's a varied degree of challenge for all of us. And with that being said, I hope you enjoy this 30 or 40 minutes of shoulder opening. We live in a world right now, again, where shoulders are kind of bearing the brunt, not only symbolically of all of the weight of our struggles, but just if you're sitting in a chair all day, if you're working from home, if you are stressed, anxious, you're probably noticing more tension in your shoulders. A normal response to being in the midst of chaos. So first and foremost, I'd really love for you to think about that as a symbol of maybe just how much work you're doing, kind of the sensation of if you were to run a marathon, your legs would be really tired. Right now we're running a stress marathon and our shoulders are really tired. The second piece is I would love to kind of touch on the importance of being aware physically of our needs through our senses. So one of the ways to do that is to just check in with all 5 of your senses every day. So, and we're being blocked. Come here. So all of that is to say right now, for example, I have some incense burning. That is the awareness of, I can see the gentle rise of the smoke. I can smell the scent of the incense. I may be able to also feel the gentle rush of air as the smoke builds. And right now I have this sweet dog. I can pet him. I can feel his nice soft coat. I can hear the gentle whir kind of the air as the heat turns on. Maybe if I listen outside, I might be able to hear kind of birds chirping. I might be able to hear maybe a truck passing by, the traffic in the distance. So those kinds of things, checking in with our 5 senses every day. And you can do that by even just using something like water every day. If you wake up in the morning and splash cold water on your face, drinking cold water, or even just water of a notable difference in temperature at the beginning of the day, not too cold or iced, but just cold enough to where you can notice the change in temperature, and noticing kind of how your body responds to that subtle shifts. And then listening to your favorite song to activate that sense of hearing, and noticing as you listen to that favorite song, if you can keep track of the rhythm of just the changes, whether the tempo is high or low or anything in between, just noticing the rhythm and the changes. That's kind of a symbol for how our life changes, sometimes without us necessarily expecting it, but we notice as well that those changes can sometimes bring us a sense of satisfaction or a sense of awareness. So I just say that so that we can check in with ourselves. A really easy way to check in with ourselves is to use what we already have, which is those senses. The sense of sight, the sense of hearing, sense of smell, taste, and touch. Taste being the most difficult one if you're not eating, but you can also inhale and exhale through your nose. Inhale through your nose, out through your mouth, and notice maybe the texture of the breath in the air, which activates kind of those the taste bud sensations. So without further ado, let's get started. And we will actually start here either seated or lying on your back. So finding a position that you prefer at your time, in your time, at your pace. And I have a blanket here that I'm going to sit on for a little bit of a lift for my hips. So find that if you'd like to. And we'll start here. If you feel comfortable closing your eyes, feel free to do so. If not, just maybe start with bringing awareness to something in the room that you're lying in or the space where you're lying in. If you're outdoors, I'm super jealous right now and happy for you that you get to be outdoors. And if you are outdoors, maybe find something that you can bring your awareness to if your eyes aren't closed. Otherwise, just allowing the eyes to close down here for a moment. And then if your eyes are closed, maybe focus on seeing if you can let them rest closed gently instead of keeping them closed by using the muscles. Just let them rest closed. And with your eyes closed, or if your eyes are open, same thing. Just focusing here on where's your breath? Maybe asking yourself, what am I doing to breathe? And as you bring awareness to your breath, see if you can just note it without changing it. Take about 3 rounds of breath. I'd invite you to welcome those 3 breaths in, maybe just noticing the breath without counting the breath. And then from here, once you're ready, notice the connection between breath and shoulders. So maybe that feels like the gentle inhale and lift of the shoulders as the rib cage expands, and the gentle fall of the shoulders as the rib cage gently goes back to neutral. And as you make that connection of breath with shoulders, maybe notice where you feel the sensation most. Our shoulders are not just the tops of our neck and where our collarbone meets the top of our shoulder blade, but it's also our back, our side of our body. It's all one network of tissues, of bones, fascia, all these fun tissues that come together to create this mobile and exciting, important part of our physical body. And then whenever you're ready from here, I invite you to notice some movements. So maybe as you inhale, begin to make some circles. And I'm starting here bringing my shoulders back with the exhale. So as you inhale, I'm bringing my shoulders up toward my ears and back with the exhale. Maybe you're taking another movement. Maybe it's one shoulder at a time for you. Maybe you prefer to bring your hands to the tops of your shoulders and kind of imagine you're guiding with your fingertips the shoulder movements. But I invite you to make that connection of breath to shoulder movement. Maybe you're going one direction then the other. Maybe you're making small circles, big circles. But seeing if you can welcome in that breath as you're ready. Maybe notice as you inhale and exhale with the breath and the movement that you notice a new experience with the breath. Take a couple more moments just to move in the way that makes sense to your shoulders right now. And then whenever you're ready, just allow your arms to rest. If you're on your back, see if you can let the arms rest on the earth alongside your body. Maybe noticing the gentle pulse of the energy in your arms and your shoulders. And whenever you're ready from here, just gently allow the eyes to blink open if they've closed. And we'll locate the right arm. And we're bringing the back of the right hand to either the low back or to the mid-spine. So if you feel, I'll turn sideways so you can kind of see what I mean. If you feel like this is a lot of rotation for your shoulder, see if you can kind of bring your fingers behind you and point the fingers away from you. So kind of walking and tenting the fingers behind you. And what we're doing here is kind of opening through the top of the shoulder into the pec minor. So that space just kind of below in that pocket, below your collarbone, that's what that's called. So we'll start with our right arm, and we're making kind of that gentle wing with the right hand, or the right arm I should say, so you'll see kind of that wing shape with the upper and lower arm. So from there, maybe again resting the back of the hand, but wherever you find yourself, see if you can press the back of the hand toward the back, and then the back toward the back of the hand. So if you're mid-back, definitely pressing that mid-spine back toward the back of the hand, and then the back of the hand toward mid-spine. And then if you notice this upper shoulder space lifting, see if you can gently let it go down away from the ear. And then continue pressing hand to back, back to hand, and maybe inviting some opening. And then find some breaths as you're ready. And if you're on your back here, it can be kind of difficult to get that arm under the back. And it might be a lot of weight. So just move with what you have. There's no pressure to do it any specific way. We're just focusing on opening through that front shoulder. You may even find that relief by reaching the arm up to kind of a V. Or a half V with the right arm. And then whenever you're ready, we'll release the right arm down. Make some movements with the wrist on the right hand. Breathing as you move. We'll move to the left whenever you're ready. So again, back of the hands to either low back. When I say low back, I mean kind of that hip sacrum area, or maybe mid back. And then again, maybe that option of reaching the fingertips behind you, kind of like you're walking the fingertips toward the back or the space behind you. In this case, it's my door. So wherever you are. And then see if you can roll the shoulder away from the ear. And then if you have back of the hand to your back, again, pressing back of the hand toward the back and then back toward the back of the hand. Breathing, noticing, again, if upper shoulder is lifting, see if we're just letting it rest away from the ear. Maybe bringing the other hand to that part of your shoulder to remind it. Be noticing your neck dropping. See if we're bringing your gaze just forward. So maybe imagining there's a string attached at the tip of your nose to the surface in front of you. Keeping your head nice and level. And then again, if you're on your back, reaching for that kind of half V or half Y. And with your next exhale, releasing the left arm. Take a moment to maybe move one or both wrists, maybe your neck. And then from here, we're moving into optional Garudasana arms. So Garudasana is eagle pose. There are lots of ways to do the same movement with this pose. We've focused a little bit more on the front shoulders here to start. We'll move to the space in between the shoulder blades in this movement with our shoulders. So we'll start with the right arm coming over the left elbow. So we're crossing arms. So we'll do this slowly so we can really tap into what the sensation feels like. So reach your arms out kind of to a T. The good thing about this is it can be done with belly up or seated. If you're reaching out to that T from a seat, just gently as you exhale, allow the right shoulder, the right elbow to glide over the left. And then listen for that space in the back between the shoulder blades where you feel kind of the sensation of stretch. So if you're there now, if you're already moving elbows over each other and you're already feeling that sensation of stretch, here give yourself a hug. So kind of reach for your shoulder blades. And then allow the shoulders to rest away from the ears. And then breathe between the shoulder blades. So you may notice that sensation right away. And if you're wanting to kind of bind here, cross your right elbow over your left and then maybe cross your forearms and maybe bring the wrist and maybe the palms together. So if you're here in Garudasana arms, you might not be able to see my face, but you're lifting the elbows a little bit higher with the inhale. And then with the exhale, you're allowing the upper shoulders, so the space kind of where the shoulder and the neck connect, letting that rest away from the ears once again, just like you'd be doing if you were reaching for a hug. And then if you have eyes closed, if you'd like to close your eyes, I invite you to do that here and really bring the awareness to the space between the shoulder blades. So we're working into the back part of our heart chakra, opening there, expanding our awareness, our intentions. Let's take 2 rounds of breath, and I'd invite you, if you want to lift the elbows a little bit higher. One more round of breath. And then as you're ready, unraveling the arms. So maybe you have unraveling the elbows and the wrists, reaching the arms out. Maybe you're just unraveling the hug, reaching the arms out. And then from here, we're bringing left over right. So bringing the left elbow again over the right, moving slowly if you can. Try not to hit your dog with your hand. And then as you bring them across, your arms across, listening for that first sensation of stretch. So maybe you're giving yourself that hug and kind of hooking your fingers along your shoulder blades, feeling that sensation. Maybe you'd like to bring elbows to cross, forearms to cross, wrists and palms to touch. And then I'd invite you with that inhale to maybe lift the elbows. And if you're choosing to close your eyes, this is again a really good time to tap into the space in between the shoulder blades, bringing your awareness there. If eyes are open, focusing your awareness on that focal point, continuing to breathe in the space between the shoulders. Let's take one more round of breath here. And then as you exhale, release arms. Let them just rest. So if you're on a seated position, just really allow the arms to be heavy on the knees, palms up. If you're on your back, just letting the arms completely rest alongside the body. Absorbing the intensity of that opening, especially if you have any back tension there as well. You really probably felt the intensity of that experience with Garudasana arms. And so from here we'll move into bringing some space in the cervical spine, the scalene parts of the upper body. So we're starting by bringing the right ear toward the right shoulder. So move with your awareness as you're ready. If you're in a seated position, imagine you're bringing the crown of the head toward the sky with the inhale. And then with the exhale, see if you can allow the right ear to fall toward the right shoulder. And if you're on your back, see if you can find that same movement. It's a little bit different experience, but you're still getting the stretch, and maybe you're reaching, again, that right, or in this case, the left arm up as you reach the right ear toward the right shoulder, maybe even dropping the chin toward the ground. And if you're in a seated position, seeing for keeping the left arm nice and heavy, right ear goes toward the right shoulder, and then maybe dropping the chin toward the top of the shoulder as well. And then if you're seated and you want a little more intensity, if you're not getting a full experience here, or one that feels like something you may need maybe a little bit more, bring your fingertips of your left hand to the space just above your shoulder blade, and maybe even reaching to make contact with the skin of the shoulder blade, and gently resting the fingertips there and using the weight of the upper body, the kind of the arm, just to kind of gently guide some more space between the ear and the shoulder. Maybe again turning the chin over toward the right shoulder. Let's take 3 rounds of breath, moving at your pace. Always feel free to skip this, or feel free not to move in this way. And as you inhale, return back to your center, allow your left arm to rest. And then with your exhale, find your expression of this side bend in the upper spine. So our neck is part of our spine, part of our vertebral column. So when I say upper spine here, I'm referring to the neck. So again, maybe you chose here to turn the chin over toward the left shoulder. Maybe you're choosing to rest the fingertips in that space above the clavicle, collarbone space. Take the shape that you need to in this moment. Maybe taking a couple more rounds of breath, inviting any movements you might need. And then as you're ready, from here, just releasing yourself out. Maybe making some circles with the neck here. And then if you have a dog on your mat, moving your dog over to the side. So from here, we're moving into making that connection between the kinetic chain from the points of our fingers all the way up to our shoulders. So we are kind of doing something that focuses on the wrist, but you may notice that it brings a sense of relief up the arm as well to the shoulder. So we'll start with our right hand. See if you can bring your right palm toward the sky, and with your left hand, reach for the fingers that are between your pinky and your thumb. So if maybe you're reaching for 2, maybe you're reaching for 3. But from here, point your palm away with the fingers pointing toward the ground. And then gently imagine you're curling, kind of imagining your 3 fingers are little arms, and they're curling that left hand. So you're really activating the fingers, and then gently press the left fingers against the right. And maybe keeping the right elbow bent, or maybe you choose to straighten it, but if you know that you tend to hyperextend in the elbow, give a little bit of a bend to it. Okay. So from here, option if you want to, I just kind of advanced to show the angle, but maybe twisting to the left as you gently keep that hold of the fingers. If this is a lot on your right arm, just gently allow the left hand and the arm to rest on the left knee if you're twisted that far. And then from here, giving a little bit more, maybe bringing the left ear toward the left shoulder or dropping the left ear toward the chest. Let's take 2 rounds of breath in the seated position. And then gently as you inhale, release back. And this time we'll bring the fingers down, but the back of the hand will face forward. And let's bring our fingers to the knuckles of that hand. So the pinky and the thumb are still released. And then from here we'll bend the right elbow again. And then maybe as you twist, notice a little bit different sensation here as you twist. And then maybe again dropping ear toward shoulder, chin toward chest, ear toward chest. Give yourself a few moments of breath here. And then as you inhale, come back through center when you're ready, releasing the right hand. Maybe make some circles. And then we'll switch to the left when you're ready. So again, right hand reaches, but we're taking the fingers between the pinky and the thumb. And palm will face away, fingers will face down. And then gently imagine you're giving that little curl of the fingers. So left fingers are curling, right fingers are kind of creating a weight. And then gently press with the right fingers against the left. And then maybe keeping left elbow bent, or maybe beginning to extend a little bit here. Take an inhale, exhale. One more inhale here. And then as you exhale, begin to twist it. That was where you took it the first time. So maybe noticing a little different sensation. Every shoulder is different. Maybe resting one hand, and then maybe from here bringing right ear toward right shoulder. Keeping the gentle pressure of left fingers against right fingers. Maybe lifting. And then as you inhale, come back through center. And we'll switch the clasp. So fingers down, but top of the hand forward. Find the knuckles of the left hand. Press knuckles against fingers, so the left knuckles are pressing against right fingertips. Maybe bend, maybe keep the left elbow extended, and then as you exhale, once again, begin to twist. Maybe again, bringing right ear toward the shoulder or chin toward chest. And then as you exhale, come back through center. Kind of a funny movement in the wrists and the hands, but you notice maybe that kinetic chain of lengthening went all the way up the arm into the shoulder. Okay, so from here, as you exhale, we'll gently make our way to our hands and knees. So we do want to bring space to the shoulders, but we also want to bring a little bit of strength to the shoulders so they can support kind of the weight of their responsibilities right now. So we'll start back in hands and knees and really focusing here on pressing the palms into the ground. So you may have noticed just as I pressed my palms into the ground that there was a little lift in between my shoulder blades and our rhomboids and my spinal muscles that help to kind of support and stabilize the spine in general. So find that press through kind of the center of the palms and look just down past the top edge of your mat. This may be kind of where you stay as you notice your shoulders really activating. If you notice that you hyperextend in your elbows, just give more press into the palms and a little bend into the elbows. And then from here, as you inhale, shift your weight over to your left palm and reach the right arm forward and see if you can bring the right bicep toward the right ear without moving the head. And then find your breath wherever you are. We'll be here for a few rounds of breath. See if we're taking a couple more rounds of breath here. And whenever you're ready, bring the right hand down. Find the press into the palms, and as you inhale, we'll shift the weight to the right hand. Keep that press and lift the left arm. Holding here for a few breaths. Again, see if you can bring the right bicep toward, or left bicep toward left ear. And then as you exhale, bring both hands back to the earth. And from here, we'll bring both knees together and press our weight back to where we can kind of drape the spine over the legs, finding a little seed pose. So for little seed pose with a shoulder opening variation, reach your arms alongside the body with your palms up. And rest your forehead on the surface. And let your arms rest and kind of create space in that area between the shoulder blades that we just kind of worked a little bit. See what you can do to return to your breath. As you're ready, we'll just gently bring our upper body back to neutral position, so lifting it off the legs. And we'll bring our weight back to hands and knees. This time we're stretching, bringing some length to the spine, but also stretching the feet. So what I'm choosing to do is tuck my toes under. You may be able to see my toes. Tucking my toes under to where the heels are toward the sky. And then I'm gently bringing my weight back as my arms kind of extend, bringing length to the sides along the rib cage. So my weight's going back, arms are reaching forward, toes are tucked under. Maybe rest the head. Bringing length to the lats. So the things, parts of the body, the tissues that are alongside, on the outside of the shoulders, under, around the shoulder blades and the rib cage. Taking a couple rounds of breath here, maybe reaching your fingertips a little bit farther forward. And then from your next inhale, we'll come back to hands and knees. And from hands and knees, we'll come down to our forearms. So from our forearms, we're preparing to move into dolphin, but we'll first do this kind of shoulder strengthening prep. So bring the palms down and kind of fan the fingers out nice and wide, and press into the palms enough to where your elbows could lift, or maybe they do lift, and they hover gently over the mat. So knees are down, elbows may be lifting, or maybe you're just pressing enough into the earth to where you feel triceps, sides of the shoulders activate. And then begin to breathe here. Just 2 full rounds of breath. So inhale, expanding through side rib cage. Exhale, maybe sigh the breath out. Keep pressing, palms down. Okay, and then from here, keeping that press of the palms down, maybe drop the head and then tuck the toes under and maybe lift the hips toward the sky, and the weight goes back toward the heels as you find your way into maybe dolphin, or your expression of dolphin. We'll be here for 3 rounds of breath. And if you notice your elbows drifting away from the ears, imagine you're squeezing a block between the elbows. 1 more breath. All right, and then exhale and slowly make your way back to your knees. And from your knees, we'll gently bring the toes to touch. Press yourself back to your version of child's pose. Take a few moments to notice the shift in energy as we went from something very passive to something very active and inverted. Maybe just notice that subtle shift in, maybe you notice your heart rate adjusting, maybe you noticed kind of an uplifting, energetic sensation. So feel free to stay here if you'd like to. If you'd like to move into another variation of dolphin, we'll take dolphin with supinated wrists. So let's bring the palms back down. We have kind of forearms parallel with each other. Fan the fingers out nice and wide, but this time we'll bring the fingernail side of the hand to the mat. So palms will be up to the sky. So maybe you're here and you already noticed that that's a lot of activation for the space just below your kind of shoulder, armpit area, side shoulder. So maybe you're here, but if you'd like to go a little bit deeper into this expression, we'll take dolphin with this rotation in our wrists and our shoulders. So let's bring the kind of nail side or the fingernail side of the hand to press actively into the mat, and maybe you're lifting the elbows. So if you're lifting the elbows, maybe you pause here and breathe. Maybe you're just pressing the tops of the forearms, tops of the hands on the mat. All right, and maybe if you'd like to go into dolphin expression, tuck the toes under, allow the head to rest, and then maybe you bring the weight back toward the heels. Couple rounds of breath here. Notice the energy you're building. 1 more breath. All right, and then exhale back to your knees. Definitely this time we'll take a little seed pose. So bring the knees together, rest the arms alongside the body. Take your moment to reconnect. Maybe make some circles with the neck here. Whenever you're ready, we'll make our way all the way onto our belly. So from the belly, if you're here and you prefer not to be belly down, if you prefer to be standing, if that's more empowering for you, always feel free to make your way to your feet from here. We're opening the front shoulders a little bit more deeply. So whether you're belly down or you're on your feet, if you're on your feet, we'll bring our chest, and let this dog out really quick. We'll bring our chest to the wall, or to the door in this case, in my case, and we'll bring the arm out to kind of a half Y. So the right arm's reaching up to a half Y or half V, and we're bringing the chest and the kind of the upper body toward the wall. Maybe you want to kind of bend the right elbow, and that's okay too. So if you're standing, let's take an inhale. And keeping the right palm down as you exhale, begin to gently walk your toes to the left. And listen for that first sensation. You'll feel that in pec minor. So it'll be here, upper front shoulder, front part of your shoulder. Okay, so that's where you can try. Maybe you're on your knees instead. That's okay as well. And you may be walking yourself to the left. Okay, so that's standing or knees variation. If you'd like to take it from belly down, bring the right arm to extend and maybe bend the right elbow. But this time you plant the left hand and you'll bend the left knee to where your toes can kind of point toward the sky. And then rest your right ear on the mat, take an inhale. And as you exhale, press into your left hand so you can roll open. So I'll plant my left foot down because that's where I am in my body. But maybe you would like to kind of rest the left leg, so you can always stack your knees, kind of like you're in a belly up twist, but your belly's down here. And take like 3 or 4 rounds of breath, or just maybe take a breath. Maybe you're here and you notice that you'd rather not take this expression, and that's all right as well. Take what you need to do. Make your choice. If you're holding here a little bit longer, see if you can really breathe deeply into the belly. And with your next exhale, rolling all the way back to your belly. If you're on your belly, if you're standing, we'll just switch arms. So rest your left arm down and reach your right arm down and reach your left arm up. Okay, so we'll just switch arms here. Rest your left ear, or maybe walking yourself to the right with the exhale. And from here, if you're on your belly, we're rolling ourselves open. I'm choosing to bend my elbow on my arm when I roll open. That's because that's how I feel sensation of this shape with my body. But just move with what you have and what you prefer. And then again, always listening for the opportunity to come out of the pose if that's where you find kind of your experience today. And if right foot doesn't plant down, you can also stack the knees just like you did on the other side. I'd invite you to do what you need for your body. See if we're taking maybe one more round of breath if you're holding a little bit longer. And then whenever you're ready, we'll roll back onto the belly. If you're taking the belly down variation, if you're taking this from a standing variation, just find your way back to your space whenever you're ready. So we're meeting back on our mats if you're standing. And we're closing here with a heart opener / shoulder opener, Adahatanasana, Adahana Asana. Really filled. It's a tongue twister there. Anahata Asana. So there are lots of ways to get into Anahata Asana. It's really what it is it's heart melting pose. If you're familiar with it, also known as puppy dog pose for some people. So tucking the toes under, from here, you can also untuck the toes if you prefer. But one thing that people do focus on sometimes is stacking the hips over the knees, just so you have a nice firm base, and so you can focus on the shoulders. If your hips come forward or go back, it's all right as well. It doesn't really matter what you look like as long as you're noticing the sensation and it's in a safe movement. So I'm doing it sideways here, and then I'll do it forward so you can see kind of how the extension happens. But with hips stacked over knees, you're walking your hands forward and listening for the sensation in the space in the front, but also the space between the shoulder blades. So we're reaching our chest forward, and maybe you're melting your chest all the way to the mat. And maybe you're letting your forehead or your chin rest. So chin resting can be a lot on the upper spine, the neck. So go with what you have. Maybe you're resting the forehead. So breathing there. A nice variation to have a nice firm hold is to reach for the top edge of your mat if you have a mat or some type of support here, and keeping that clasp and then melting your chest forward. I find that I can get a comfortable supported balance between active and passive there. See if you're taking a couple rounds of breath in your expression of heart melting. And then to come out of your version of heart melting, we'll shift the weight forward, walk ourselves to hands and knees. Take as much time as you need to get there. It's a journey to get in and out of that expression. And then just like with any heart opener, especially intense heart openers like that, we want to sit back for a moment and collect ourselves. Take a moment to kind of bathe in that maybe warmth or expressiveness that comes from that type of a shape. And just take a moment maybe to close your eyes down and reflect on what your body is saying in response to the movement you just made. Maybe tapping into how your breath is flowing. And then from here, whenever you're ready, I'd invite you to find your way to a supported closing resting place. So maybe you're finding a seat. That's what I'm choosing today. Maybe you're finding something to support your back, so you're bringing your back to the wall. So you can extend your legs or cross your legs comfortably with a supported spine. Maybe you're finding your way onto your back in kind of a shavasana, closing, belly up, resting. As you settle into your final resting, I'd encourage you to give yourself a few minutes, at least 3 up to 10 minutes of resting if you can afford that. I know everyone's life has different demands, and I know you're all working on different schedules, so do what you can. Even if you set yourself a timer, just to be kind of in this, again, this space where you reflect on what the practice has provided for you physically, but also noticing maybe where your thoughts are. If you find yourself kind of observing your thoughts and it's almost like watching this vision of just motion, all these different movements happening that kind of creates this blur, see if you can bring in kind of the intention of something you admire yourself for. So maybe you imagine yourself writing on a blackboard, I admired the fact that I practiced yoga today. Or maybe I admire the fact that I'm taking care of myself. Maybe I admire the fact that I took time to breathe. And again, being sure to give yourself these few minutes of resting. And if you notice your mind or your thoughts beginning to kind of creep forward into what's next or go back into what happened before, just gently kind of tap your thoughts on the shoulder, maybe gently rest your hand on their shoulder and bring them back to this present moment. Maybe remind yourself, oh, you're wandering right now, come back to this moment, you'll be You'll be fine for these few moments. And whatever you think of maybe that you admire yourself for, whenever you're ready to take yourself out of final resting, I'd really encourage you to write that down for yourself as a reminder. If you find yourself being flustered by just, again, the nature of the world we find ourselves in. And I'd like to leave you tonight, or today, or whenever you're watching this, with the gentle intention if you're seated, or if you're on your back, or if you're resting with your back against a wall, maybe bring your hands to heart-centered. Invite you to do that if that's something that you prefer. Maybe allowing your head to rest, to bow, kind of in reverence to your practice, to yourself, to your willingness to be here. And I leave you with this intention. May you be well. May you be content. May you find peaceful moments. And may you find resilience in the midst of struggle. So be sure again to give yourself this time to rest, relax, absorb. And from here, I leave you with so much gratitude. Thank you for sharing your time, your energy to take care of yourself. So from the divine light within me, that's within you as well, sending out love to all beings everywhere, lots of safety, lots of care, and lots of gentleness. Be well. Have an awesome rest of your practice. And we'll see you next time.